After round 23, the verdict is in and there are major implications for the finals. Welcome everyone, Matt Thompson here alongside Match Review Panel Chairman Mark Fraser. Mark, a very busy day for you and your panel. I understand some 28 incidents.
Yes, we had a lot to look at today, mate.
Let's begin with Steve Johnson. In summary, a one-match ban, but he risks two if he fights at the tribunal and loses. This is his bump on Dan Hannebery, judged reckless, low impact and body contact.
Yes, with this one we believe there was sort of unnecessary and unreasonable in the circumstances. He bumps Hannebery very forcefully and goes to ground. From the video, we deemed that there was enough force from that. Even though the medical came back clear, we thought there was enough force in that contact to be worthy of a charge.
All right, a 30% loading for a bad record and also 78 carryover points. That hasn't helped his cause. But let's just break it down, the impact here. How closely did you look at that through the day? You spent a fair bit of time chatting about that?
Yeah, we do. We looked at quite a few incidents over the course of this year and also last year that were similar in nature, and we deemed that that one was similar to quite a few that we charged previously, and so we thought that there was a level of force there that needed to be charged with rough conduct.
Now, the aftermath of this incident has also drawn a lot of comparisons. Did you look at that?
Yeah, we certainly did. We assessed that as well from a contact with an injured player perspective, and we didn't deem that as forceful as, say, the Selwood one the previous week. We thought there was a totally different level of impact with the Selwood pushover of his brother, and so whilst we probably didn't look at this particularly kindly, we didn't think there was a level of force there to charge him.
So you wouldn't recommend a player in Steve Johnson's scenario doing this?
No, not at all. We spent a lot of time discussing whether we would charge him with that, and in the end we decided there was not a level of force.
All right, well, still at the Cats, and there's been a lot of interest in Paul Chapman too for this strike on Ben McGlynn. Negligent, low and high contact. He escapes with a reprimand.
Yeah, here McGlynn gets rid of the ball and then is running to try and get past Johnson. Johnson puts the arm up to try and stop him, but unfortunately he's careless in doing that, and thus we've given him a charge of a negligent strike. He's breached his duty of care by raising that arm like that, and we think that it's come off the shoulder a little bit as well, but yeah, negligent strike.
Importantly for Cats fans though, of course, he is free to play. Now, from the same game, a blow to the Swans, their finals campaign in particular, Heath Grundy has been suspended for a week for striking James Podsiadly. Now, his good record helps him here. It would have been 2 weeks, but you've judged this intentional, low impact and high contact.
Yeah, you see Grundy throw the arm and the elbow out there and contacts Podsiadly high. It gets him to the head, and you see his head spin around, and then Podsiadly grabs his jaw. So we thought there was enough impact in that for a forceful strike.
There you go. A lot to look at out of that encounter between the Cats and the Swans. Now, this doesn't have finals implications, but it does have a serious impact on one of Gold Coast's most senior players. Campbell Brown has been offered a 6-match suspension for his hit on Crow Aidan Riley. That's with an early plea, down from 8 matches. The key here is Brown's very bad record, but even so, a serious charge. Reckless, high impact and high contact.
Yes, you can see Brown go down, and he doesn't appear to make any contest for the ball. He goes basically for the player who's has the head down going for the ball, and makes significant high contact. So we deemed that was a reckless high contact, and the medical unfortunately did not come back clear, and the potential to cause further injury is quite great with an incident like that, so we thought that it was worthy of a high impact charge. So
Campbell Brown to miss more than a quarter of next season. Now to the fiery Saints Blues game. Let's begin with this at the end of the third quarter. Lee Montagna, a 1-match ban for rough conduct against Andrew Walker. Reckless, low impact and body contact.
Yeah, here Walker's holding Mill, and Montagna comes in from a distance and bumps Walker over. The medical did not come back clear from that, so we deemed that there was a rough conduct charge that needed to be answered.
All right, let's rewind all the way back to the start of the match. Wrestling fines for both Stephen Milne and Andrew Walker. Was this a fine line? Were you close to finding a striking charge for either of these players?
Yeah, we looked at as a potential striker initially, but deemed that there was not enough impact with the strikes, and then obviously the wrestling goes on for an extended period of time and with sufficient vigour. So they were both reported on the day for wrestling, and we deemed that that was a wrestling charge that needed to be answered.
Yeah, certainly one of the more extraordinary incidents we've seen this season, particularly at the very start of the match. Just finally, another incident that's received a lot of attention. James McDonald from the Giants, his rough conduct against North's Jamie McMillan. A 1-match ban here.
Yeah, here McDonald's running into the contest, but McMillan with his back turned like that, he runs straight into him, and we believe that that's unnecessary, unreasonable in the situation and with sufficient enough force. So it was worthy of a rough conduct charge yet again.
All right, Mark, well, thank you for your time. As always, your task gets slightly easier from here. At least there's less matches to look at next week.
Less matches to look at least.
Appreciate it. Mark Fraser joining us, the chairman of the match review panel. And that is the verdict for the final round of the home and away season. Players sided have until 11 o'clock Tuesday morning to decide if they'd like to challenge their charges at the tribunal. There were, as we said, a lot of incidents looked at this week. We have a full text report on all of them here online. From all of us here at afl.com.au, thanks so much for watching.